Hello everybody, and welcome to our tiki hut here in South Florida on a breezy day. Beautiful, but breezy. I just thought a change of venue might be nice with the beautiful weather out here in South Florida. Having said that, let's get right into it. So, yep, I lost another pound for the Hungry Strike for America. So I got to add another star to the Hungry Strike for America sign. And at the end of this video, we'll go over Nebraska. A couple interesting things there, but nope, they're not redistricting. Speaking of redistricting, we'll get right into that after we talk a little bit about the shutdown. So here's a clip from Obama a few years ago.
So let's work together to make government work better, instead of treating it like an enemy or purposely making it work worse. That's not what the founders of this nation envisioned when they gave us the gift of self-government. You don't like a particular policy or a particular president? Then argue for your position. Go out there and win an election. Push to change it, but don't break it. Don't break what our predecessors spent over 2 centuries building. That's not being faithful to what this country's about.
So bottom line is, we won the election. Republicans won. We didn't like their policies, there being the Democrat policies. But now, and there's a word for this, minorityism. It's when a minority is basically controlling everything, a bad situation. Everything I read about, when you allow the minority to have control, it's a terrible situation. Speaker Johnson's doing a great job. Senator Thune is doing a great job. President Trump is perfectly correct. Everything needs to continue exactly as it is until at least 5 Democrat senators, in addition to the 3 senators that are voting with the Republicans right now. When they break rank, we'll know better about what the future of the Democrat Party is. Right now, everybody's saying that Senator Schumer is doing this because of his concerns about the 2028 elections. That's not really true. He's actually concerned about the 2026 elections because he knows that there's going to be some senatorial positions that they're going to lose. Lose being that the Republicans are going to gain some seats, even though there's only a small number of Democrats up for election or re-election in 2026. My view, we'll talk about this later, we've talked about it in the past, is that the Republicans are going to pick up some seats. There's only one seat that the Democrats might pick up, and I don't think they will. It all depends on Susan Collins up in Maine, and the reality is that the 2 candidates that are stepping forward to be leading the charge for the Democrats up in Maine, one of them, who you would think initially I would like greatly, he's a former Marine, oyster farmer, seemed like a great guy until you find out more about his past. Not so. And then the other one is the Maine governor, who is pro men and women sports, amongst other things. She needs to not be the senator for Maine. Maine deserves better. So I'm really hoping Susan Collins stays in the race for Senate in 2026, and I believe sincerely that she'll get elected again, as she should. She's come through a couple times for the good of our country. She is very moderate, but I believe she's good for our country. So Senator Schumer is the minority leader in the Senate, but he's up for election every 2 years, unless they do a mid-cycle, so to speak, redistricting of the Democrats in the Senate. What I mean by that is that the senators in the Senate, the Democrats, they could always go for an election to unseat Senator Schumer. But as of right now, after the 2026 elections, the Democrat senators will be electing a new minority leader, or the old minority leader to stay as the minority leader. But given that there's going to be a loss of Democrat senators, doesn't look to me like Senator Schumer will be on firm ground. I believe he is at a loss for determining how to fix the Democrat Party's chances in the Senate, or in the House, or the presidency, or everywhere. You know, there's a lot more people registering as Republicans and independents, a lot more than they are registering for Democrats. And with the young people turning towards the conservative side, it looks to me like our future in our country is getting better and better, especially given the fact that Trump is doing such a great job. So, Senator Schumer's shenanigans in the Senate and the shutdown is all about Senator Schumer retaining the minority leader position, which I don't believe he will, no matter what. So how's the shutdown going to end? Well, some of the Democrats are going to realize that Senator Fetterman, who's been pretty vocal about it, is totally correct. That this is nothing but bad. It's frustrating, and it hurts people.
What do you say to Democrats who have blocked this bill now 11 times?
Wrong,
respectfully wrong to do that. Open up the government. I believe John Thune is an honorable man, and I do believe we could have a serious conversation to talk about extending these tax credits. I've always supported that. You could check my record. I vote for that. And now no one can control what the president wants to do. I mean, he's going to do what he's going to, whatever. But I do believe it's entirely appropriate now. Open it back up. We have to now, even people in my state, and SNAP is now. Now, like, people need that to eat. And now this is about who's winning, America's losing. Food insecurity is a real thing. I see that. I mean, people live that. And now because we're having this political back and forth, and it's wrong. And that's why I do believe we can achieve extending those tax credits. And now that's where we need to be right now. We're into the month of that. That's a core responsibility. Open it up. It's crazy. People are going to start to get really hungry. And I've been fully committed to fund, SNAP, and now fund SNAP, open up the government, and we don't have to worry about this too. Where's the Capitol Police? I think we have some here. They're not getting paid right now either. There's other people not going to get paid. It's like that impacts real people and these important kinds of jobs. This is just bad political theater. Open it up.
Is it frustrating to you that your party doesn't seem to be changing its strategy on this? We're 21 days in now.
It is frustrating, but that's small compared to people that rely on SNAP or their next paycheck. That's absolutely, and we're getting paid.
By the way, when I was in the Navy, I moved roughly every 6 months with my family. So there's a lot of people that are moving in the military, and I know what it's like. And if you're not getting paid, not getting compensated, it's going to be a royal problem, because if you can't move somebody to a new place to relieve somebody there, then that means that person has to stay there for a longer time. That is very detrimental to their family. So I believe that at least 5 Democrats will cross. If the Republicans decided to end the shutdown by ending the filibuster, that could be done. Here's another clip from Fetterman.
Some of your Republican colleagues have proposed nuking the filibuster to force the government to reopen. What do you?
Yeah, of course. Carve it out for that, absolutely. We ran on that. We ran on killing the filibuster, and now we love it. It's like carve it out so we can move on. And I support it because it makes it more difficult to shut the government down in the future, and that's where it's entirely appropriate. And I don't want to hear any Democrat clutching their pearls about the filibuster. We all ran on it. I ran on that yeah.
They could come up with a way of changing the rules just for this type of situation, such as if at least 2 members of the opposite party cross the line, if the continuing resolution is a clean resolution and the shutdown has lasted for 2 weeks, whatever they want to say in there, get rid of the filibuster. Because quite honestly, if the Senate and the House could do a lot better job, as Speaker Johnson is attempting to, with regards to getting the budget approved, and I mean getting the budget totally approved before the end of September, which, by the way, means to me they should have a schedule. Nobody's allowed to go home. They stay on the weekends. They continue doing everything starting like in June time frame with their schedule. Forget about the August vacation. If they get their work done, then they get to go. If they don't have their work done, they don't get to go, just like you and me in our jobs. So anyway, that's the shutdown. Let's talk redistricting. So ABC News recently had looked like to me, a pretty good article with regard to redistricting across the country. They were really starting with North Carolina. But then as I watched it, a couple major issues came out. One of them is, and here's a copy of their map, they said that these were the ones that were being redistricted. Well, there's a lot more than that. And they also said that all the ones that were being redistricted was all because of political reasons. The redistricting going on in Utah and Ohio is specifically required because the Democrats forced it. In Ohio, the Democrats didn't agree to the redistricting done a couple of years ago. So by rule, in Ohio, the Republicans have to redistrict again. They opened up the door for the Republicans to redistrict this year. And in Utah, the Democrats sued, so the Republicans have to redistrict. But I've seen the map, and there is not going to be any changes with the number of Republicans. There were 4, and there's going to be 4, I believe, in Utah. from Ohio, the Republicans will gain a couple. Now, with regards to who's redistricting, let's look at their map again. And Florida is definitely going to be redistricting. And I assume if Louisiana wins the Supreme Court case, then they will be redistricting. So that's 2 more. And the Supreme Court results against racial gerrymandering will also result in Alabama probably redistricting. And then we have 3 other states that are redistricting, mainly to get more seats in the House for their respective parties. In Maryland, it's the Democrats. There's 1 Republican House seat in Maryland, and they want to get rid of it. And in Indiana and Kansas, they both want to get rid of 1 Democrat House seat. So that would be a gain of 1. Now, as I've said in the past, that the redistricting efforts are going to result in a total of 5 to 10 more House seats for the Republicans. That includes what's going on in California, Texas, Ohio, every place. So a minimum of 5, maximum of 10. So I would guess 7. But because of the Supreme Court hearing looking to me like it's definitely going to go in Louisiana's favor, change that. Instead of 5 to 10 House seats for the Republicans, in addition to what they got now, it's 10 to 15 seats in the House for the Republicans. 10 to 15. So let's assume 12. That's pretty good. Now, back to the Hungry Strike for America, in which I am losing 50 pounds. I'm up to pound number 14 now. And why 50? Because it gets me down to a good, healthy weight, and there are 50 states. I get to add a star to the official sign, which I believe is a lot of positive reinforcement for me to keep losing weight. And then I also color in 1 state on the official map of the United States. And when I do that, I also learn a little bit more about what's going on in the Senate and the House for that state and put it in this video. In the order of how the states voted for President Trump in the 2024 election, in other words, the number 1 state had the highest percentile that voted for President Trump. We're up to number 14, and that is Nebraska. Nebraska is not redistricting. They have 3 Republican House members and 2 Republican senators. The Republican senators, Senator Deb Fischer was reelected in 2024, so she's not up for reelection for 6 more years. And the other senator, Senator Pete Ricketts, very experienced person, governor of Nebraska, won the special election last year, and he is up for a regular election, so a re-election for him in 2026. Don't anticipate any problem. The 3 House members, Congressman Mike Flood and Congressman Adrian Smith, seem to be great people and have no problem in running for re-election and getting it. The 3rd House member from Nebraska is Congressman Don Bacon, actually a retired brigadier general from the Air Force. Seems to be an okay guy. However, he has crossed swords, so to speak, with the Republican management people, including President Trump. So he has already stated that he is not running for re-election next year. My opinion is that another Republican will win the House seat. So that's it for the great state of Nebraska. Thank you for watching this video and helping me continue on my path to lose my weight. I believe this is where MAGA meets MAHA. So, the breeze is picking up. I guess it's time for me to go. But before I do, here's one thing. Scott Bessent, the Treasury Secretary, actually connected the budget with losing weight. You gotta see this clip.
And I think the budget deficit as a share of the economy is probably going to start coming down in a significant way.
Yeah, Larry, contrary to what everyone said, we had for the fiscal year last year, we had a lower deficit than we did the previous fiscal year. And it's as Warren Buffett says, when people ask him, how do you lose weight? You eat less, exercise more. How do you control the budget deficit? You spend less or control spending and grow more.
So I just thought you'd enjoy seeing how losing weight is the same type of thing as cutting the budget. Oh, by the way, when you lose weight like I do, you eat less, that saves money. You get healthier, that saves money for society and you with regard to medical stuff. So all in all, it's a win-win-win situation, unless you are a provider of processed food. Then it's a lose for you. So thank you for watching this video. Like I said before, really appreciate it. Subscribe, give me comments, like it. See you next week. God bless President Trump. Pray for him to be successful in getting China back on track to not be anti-world. And China can also help President Trump and the world with President Putin and stopping the war in the Ukraine. God bless the United States of America. See you next week.